Okay, cool. Okay. Okay. All right. I think we are good. So, okay, it's good. So he's going to count 10 now. All right, Tim. 5, 4, 3, 2.
And a good Monday afternoon, everybody. I'm KHOU11 meteorologist Tim Pandajis. At the start of this stream, it's 1:16 p.m. on Monday afternoon, and I want to put that time out there because I'm showing you the current temperatures at this time. So if you're watching this later, this is what we're starting things out with today. In the low 90s, but dew points. That's really the focal point here. They're in the low 70s now at the airport, but mostly they're ranging in the mid to upper 70s. You can feel it when you step outside, a very tropical atmosphere in place, and those dew points actually make it feel close to 10 degrees hotter outside than what you're actually reading on the thermometer. Also take note of the wind and wind direction. Coming in out of the south-southwest, we've got a deep tropical fetch coming in off the Gulf of Mexico that in return is delivering some showers and downpours, tropical in nature, with rainfall rates up and over 1 inch per hour. Thankfully, they are moving at a pretty good clip from south to north, so we're not dealing with flooding issues at the moment, but that's a much different story well to the north in the Dallas area. I'm sure you've heard about that in the headline news today so far, where they've picked up 10 inches of rain just within the last 12 to 18 hours. So just a deluge up to the north. And that whole boundary is going to be sagging south and into our area. So here's how things look on the radar loop over the last 2 hours. Some heavier downpours now moving over Bay Harbor, and this is generally pushing towards Galveston Island within the next hour, hour and a half. A few more spotty downpours out in Brazoria. We've got one lone downpour to the north in downtown Houston, scooting up along 90 there and out of the city, eventually into eastern portions of Harris and Liberty County, where they've got a few more. Anahuac right now seeing a very heavy downpour with some claps of thunder and lightning for you as well, drifting north pretty quickly, heading just to the west of Winnie. And to the west of the city, out into the Katy area, just southwest of Katy, really, seeing a few isolated pop-up downpours there north of East Bernard, drifting pretty quickly. Should clip Katy and then eventually towards Cypress if they do hang together. But again, a 2-hour radar loop here. They are moving at a pretty good clip, developing, precipitating, and then dying on out as they lift quickly off to the north. All right, here's the main event out towards the Dallas area. I mean, I can take you back 18 hours on this radar loop and it would look pretty similar. Just a deluge of rain. Rainfall rates 1 to 3 inch an hour. Rainfall rates here. The Scott area, Tyler, pretty much all along Interstate 20 there, pushing slowly to the east, but these are what we call training thunderstorms. It's a cluster of thunderstorms that's moving slowly over the same area and almost backfilling as it does so. You can see plenty of lightning still out here just to the west of Dallas, and this is just out of the radar sight that's pushing into that area. So we're going to watch that as this whole line associated with it is a frontal boundary. There's an area of low pressure around it that's kind of enhancing the rainfall rates, adding more lift to the atmosphere. The whole thing is going to be pushing its way to the south and east, slow to do so, but then as it gets here, stalling on out. Now, thankfully, this area of low pressure looks to keep pivoting to the east and should enhance rainfall well to our east, but nonetheless, still a frontal boundary. That's that catalyst for enhancing rainfall rates. So we're going to watch that carefully for a flooding potential here. So here's Houston's headlines. That slow-moving boundary will drive our rain chances over the next 24 to 36 hours. The flooding threat for our area is there, especially tonight and into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning's commute might be iffy, so pay attention to the forecast as it's going to be continuously evolving until we get there. All right, flooding threat. So this is from the Weather Prediction Center. They put out flood outlooks, the threat for excessive rainfall. It's graded on a scale of 1 to 4, 1 being the lowest, 4 being the highest. So right now for today in the green is a level 1. But notice to the north, our northern cities and counties getting clipped with that level 2. Watch what happens tomorrow as the boundary drops its way farther to the southeast. Approaches the I-10 corridor, includes most of Harris County, Houston, and points north of there, out into Montgomery as well. So that's a level 2 threat for a little more widespread flooding threat in our local area here. Here's how the computer models are dealing with things here. This is one of our longer range or medium range models here that shows that boundary as we get towards 5 p.m. this evening, dropping to the southeast. But notice it becomes fractured and even weakens just a little bit, which is interesting to see because it's interacting with a very warm tropical air mass that's very unstable. So it's interesting to see that it has it weakening. I'm not going to play too much into that because I still think we'll have some downpours around into the overnight. And then by tomorrow morning, notice what happens here by 5:30. We see that same line. This is the boundary here that's now stalled out, reinitiating some downpours, but notice what happens. They kind of move along the same area and fill back into the west as they build east. So that would be our chance to see some training thunderstorms here, potentially tomorrow morning right into the early afternoon hours. And even this model here, as I take it out to Wednesday, Tuesday night into Wednesday, shows another line of some downpours developing along the I-10 corridor. So the risk for some flooding downpours is certainly there. Our rain chances, I should say, are elevated because of this boundary over the next few days, going up throughout the day today and into tomorrow morning, and even scooting into the first half of the day on Wednesday as well. The good news is, and this doesn't look to be a long-term pattern, by Thursday and Friday, it does drop to 40% rain chances, and that'll mostly be driven by the daytime heating that we've been used to pretty much all summer long. On top of all this, with the boundary moving into an unstable air mass, there is the risk, an outside chance, of some severe weather associated with it. So the Storm Prediction Center that puts their storm outlooks out for our area that grades the severity threat of a 1 through 5 has our northern areas under that level 1 threat. So it is the lowest, but the threats in there are going to be some gusty winds, some small hail potential, even though that's our lowest threat, and we can't rule out the risk for an isolated tornado. Our highest threat, our highest concern will be for that street flooding with the high rainfall rates due to the tropical air mass in place, and maybe some damaging gusty winds, 30, 40, 50 miles per hour in some of the strongest of the cells that develop. So how much rain are we looking at here as we go through the next 4 to 7 days? Well, we'll take this right out to Sunday evening. And this puts out, this is our longer range computer model looking at the GFS here. This puts out widespread 1 to 2.5 inches, but a lot of areas here north of the city, even a bullseye here in Harris over to Fort Bend, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of rain, not outside of the realm of possibility. So this is great news for our drought conditions. Likely this pattern will put a huge dent, if not erase the drought altogether, especially in places off to the east. But all of it at once certainly isn't the best thing. Very rarely does nature strike that perfect balance from taking us out of a drought into a more of a wet pattern. So we're going to see likely the issues here of some street flooding and maybe even some more widespread flooding issues well to the north there. So that's the latest on what we're watching here. The evolution of that boundary as it builds in from the Dallas area heading into tonight and into tomorrow. That's the time frame to really keep an eye on the forecast. Take the KHOU 11 app, have the radar on it for you, and you can see where the radar's taking the rain as you move into tomorrow morning. Of course, we'll be here throughout the afternoon and evening with team weather coverage if anything changes. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Monday, and we'll have updates for you as necessary.